this is going to be a little tutorial for how I made this sequin crochet poncho. So the materials that you're going to need are, first you're going to need a crochet thread in any color. I usually get this one from Hobby Lobby. They have a whole bunch of color options for those. And then you're going to need a sequin yarn to go along with that. And same thing from Hobby Lobby, and a weight one thread. And then I used a 3.75 millimeter crochet hook, and then some scissors, a little yarn needle, and then you'll need 4 little stitch markers. So to start, you're going to do a slip knot, and then I chained 156. You can chain less or more, you just want it to be a multiple of 12 at the very end. And then as I was chaining, I did use some stitch markers in between for the 50th and 100th stitch, just to keep track of my numbers to make sure I wasn't losing my count. But after that, you're going to want to go down the whole chain and make sure everything is straight. And then once you got everything straightened up, you're going to insert your hook into the very first chain that you did, and then create a slip stitch. After this, I would recommend trying it on to make sure your neckline is where you want it to be. After that, you're going to go ahead and place 4 stitch markers equally throughout the whole chain. I started mine on the 7th stitch and then placed one every 39th stitch. Next, starting with round 1, you're going to want to go ahead and chain 1 and then half double crochet into the same stitch, and then half double crochet in every stitch across, so you should end with a total of 156 stitches, or however much your foundation chain was. And then some tips with working with the sequence yarn. There are times where it will come out of the yarn ball bundled up already. All you have to do is pull on the sequence yarn very softly to not create any knots, because then if you pull too hard, the sequence will get caught. And then other times like this, if it just doesn't want to go through your hook and you have to undo it, always pull more from your colored yarn instead of the sequence yarn, because that's where most of the structure is coming from. After you've completed round 1, you want to go down the whole thing again, make sure everything is straight and nothing is twisted, and then go ahead and slip stitch into the first half double crochet of the round. Now to start round 2, you're going to go ahead and chain 4. And then the stitch that chain is coming out of is going to count as a stitch. You're going to want to go ahead and skip 2 stitches after that, and then place a double crochet into that 3rd stitch. And then continuing, you're going to chain 2, skip 2, and then double crochet into that 3rd stitch again. And you're going to do that all the way across until you reach your first stitch marker. Once you reach your first stitch marker, this is going to be considered the corner of the crochet piece. So it's going to have 4 corners, 1 in the front, the back, and then 2 on the sides. And then for here, you're going to do an increase. So to do an increase, you're going to want to go ahead and double crochet into that next stitch as normal, and then chain 2, and then double crochet again into that same stitch. And then after that increase, you're going to want to go ahead and just continue back to the normal pattern of chaining 2, skip 2, double crochet. So again, for round 2, what we did was we chained 4, skipped 2, double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, and then we did an increase with a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, all in the same spot. Once you reach the end, you're going to go ahead and place a slip stitch into the 2nd chain from that chain 4 foundation chain of the first round. And then after you slip stitch into that 2nd chain, you're going to want to slip stitch again into that 3rd chain, and then slip stitch one more time into the middle of the whole space, just to get your hook and loop to the middle of that stitch. And then starting round 3, you're going to go ahead and chain 4 again, and then do a double crochet into the open space. Don't go into a stitch, just right in the middle. And then that's what you're going to do basically the whole way around. You're going to chain 2 and then double crochet into the next space until you hit that increase round again. And then once you hit that increase where your stitch marker should be, into that open triangle space, you're going to go ahead and do the same thing as the round before. So you're going to double crochet in it, chain 2, and then double crochet into that same space, and then continue along with the pattern. And then once you get to the end of round 3, you're going to end it the same way as the one before. So you're going to go ahead and slip stitch into the second chain out of that chain 4 from the beginning, and then slip stitch into that third chain, and then slip stitch one more time right into the middle, and then start the next row as normal, chain 4, and then double crochet into the next space. And then that's basically what you're going to be doing the whole way around. I made a total of 25 rows for that sequin crochet, the teal one. So I do like that length, but again, as you're working on it, I always recommend to try it on. And then if you do realize that you did miss a stitch like the one I did right here, I recommend to just do a double crochet where it was supposed to go, and then chain 2, double crochet in the next space as if you didn't miss the chain. Good morning, good morning. It is 2 weeks later and we did run into an issue. I ran out of this over yarn. So I went to Hobby Lobby on Monday, and then they told me that they were going to restock the yarn on Tuesday, and then I went again on Tuesday, but they were out of stock, so then I have to wait another week. And I didn't really want to wait to post the tutorial video. But I only got to about 12 rows of this one, so it did come out really short. Let me show you real quick. So this is the length that this one came out to, which I don't love at all. At first I was originally thinking maybe I should just make it cropped and then add some long tassels to make up for it, but I just don't think that'll look right compared to what I was trying to make. But for the blue one, I did make a total of 25 rows, and then I'll show you right now how I ended it and everything. So right here is where I finished it off. So you just continue the pattern all the way to row 25 or however long you would like. But I just ended up slip stitching right into that second chain of the chain 4 from the beginning, and then I chained 1, cut the yarn, and then tied it off right there. And then after that, that's whenever I went ahead and tried it on, make sure everything looked good, and then I went ahead and added the tassels. I do have another video posted for how I added the tassels as well, but for those I did them for every other one. And there is the size difference for comparison. After I do finally get this pink one done though, I will go ahead and post the final result later on.